Hey, how's it going, YouTubers? Welcome back to the channel. If you happen to be tuning in, as always, thank you very much. Today, we'll be making my predictions for Saturday's Super Wildcard Weekend, as it is called, because we have 3 games instead of just having 2, due to the extra wildcard team being added to the NFL format. The first matchup we have is the Indianapolis Colts heading into Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Bills. Now, this is the first home game for the Buffalo Bills since 1996. Hard to believe it's been 14 years since they've actually been able to host a game. They've been away, obviously, from home in wildcard games, etc. But unfortunately, they fell short. I've tried doing my research on this, and if I happen to be mistaken, feel free to leave a comment down below, as always. But I do believe this is the first time that the Colts and Bills have met in the postseason. I've tried looking back on like Wikipedia and stuff like that. I can't seem to find a whole lot of information about these two teams meeting in the postseason. But maybe I read the wrong article. If that is the case, feel free to correct me. I will not be offended. So this will be a first for both these teams to go up against each other and duel out for the right to move on to the divisional round. For Josh Allen, this is going to be his second playoff appearance. Obviously, they made it last year, and unfortunately, they fell short against the Houston Texans in the 2019 wildcard round. So he's going to want to make sure his playoff record is even after this weekend, and obviously, hopefully, go on a bit of a playoff run and see how far they can go. For Philip Rivers, this is going to be his 12th playoff appearance, and his record, unfortunately, is below 500 with a 5-6 record. His last playoff appearance was against the New England Patriots in the 2018 or 2019. 2018 divisional round. Unfortunately, they fell short there, which is obviously dropped his record to below 500. So he's going to want to potentially even things out, and I'm sure he would love nothing more than to make a playoff push and go into a bit of a Super Bowl, or go into the Super Bowl, obviously for the first time in his career. So I'm sure he would love nothing more than to get a ring, because he's played for so long and unfortunately has never made it to the big dance. So this would be his one chance. If I had to pick a team to advance in the next round, I do believe is going to be the Buffalo Bills. I just believe this is a very good team. They were good last year, but unfortunately they just fell short against the Texans. I believe that this, you could say home field advantage, I guess, because they're used to playing on their turf, will be in their corner this time, and I will pick the Bills to advance to the second round. Sorry, Colts fans and Rivers fans. But then again, I could be wrong. The second matchup we have is the NFC West foes between the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams. Now, this is only their second appearance in the playoffs. Hard to believe they've been in the league for so many years, but obviously the Seahawks were in the AFC back in the 80s and early 90s, and then they switched over to the NFC. But I mean, they've been in the same division for many, many years, and this is only their second time playing against each other. The last time, ironically, was 15 years ago, almost to the date, January 8th, 2005, and the then St. Louis Rams came out on top with a 27-20 victory. This is a different team. They're both different teams. Obviously, St. Louis, back in the early 2000s, they were known as the greatest show on turf, I guess you could say with that expression, with Marshall Faulk and Kurt Warner. And I mean, they do have some decent players on their team. Jared Goff is a franchise quarterback, and this is actually going to be his 5th postseason appearance. He has a 2-2 record. He had the 2-1, and back in 2018, I do believe that's when they made their Super Bowl appearance. They obviously had 2 wins, and then unfortunately fell short against the Patriots, dropped his record to 2-1. And then the season after the 2018 wildcard round, I do believe they lost to the Atlanta Falcons. So he's going to look to turn the tide and try to get a 3-2 record coming out of this. And the quarterback on the other side has quite a bit of experience, you could say, in the postseason. This is going to be his 17th appearance in the playoffs with a 9-6 record. So he has a very phenomenal record. Obviously, he probably should have had 2 Super Bowl titles to his name, but Malcolm Butler unfortunately had other ideas that day back in 2015. So, sorry, Seahawk fans. If I had to pick a winner coming out of this matchup, and obviously, due to COVID, you don't have the fans, not the Seahawks, they're not going to have their 12th man. That's what they're known for, is the Big 12 flag they'd have raised up high in their stadium. Normally that would play an advantage because they'd be yelling and screaming and trying to throw the other team off, but unfortunately due to this COVID thing, there's very little fans, if there's any at all. So it's going to be very quiet, you could say. They might have some noise to kind of make it feel like there's someone there or people there, but it's obviously going to be different because you're looking in the stands and there's not a single soul around. But despite not having the fan advantage, I do believe that Russell Wilson has enough experience, Pete Carroll has enough experience coaching that team for as many years as he has, that they will come away with this victory and move on to the NFC divisional round. The final matchup I think is going to be very intriguing between the Buccaneers and the Washington football team. I do believe this is going to be their second appearance that these two teams will be clashing in the postseason. The first time was back in the 2000, I do believe, 5 or 2006 wildcard round when the Washington football team, I guess, so it sounds strange to really say, they came away with the victory. I do believe it was 17-10. And for Tampa Bay, this is going to be the first time, hard to believe, in 13 years that they've made the postseason. Back in 2007 was their last playoff experience, or their last playoff game. And yeah, so I'm sure that for Buccaneers fans, this has been 13 years in the making. It's hard to believe it's been that long since you guys were last in the postseason. You had John Gruden as your coach. It was that many years ago. Hard to believe. And for the Washington football team, the last time they made the postseason was in 2015 when they had Kirk Cousins behind the helm, and they made a little bit of noise, but they didn't get past the Packers in the wildcard round. So I'm sure they want to try to make up for those events and make a bit of a run for themselves. Hard to believe that Washington, and I'm sure there's going to be some fans that are bitter about this, had a below 500 record and made the postseason. But then you have teams like the Dolphins who finished 10-6, and they could not get a spot in the wildcard round in the AFC. And I'm sure there were teams also in the NFC like the Arizona Cardinals. They had an 8-8 record. They had a 500, but unfortunately, due to the divisions, it just fell short for them. So I'm sure there are some fans that are kind of bitter, like, why did this team who had a better record than this team get in and they didn't? It's just the way it is, and I can't see it changing. So let's get on to the quarterback matchup. So you have Alex Smith, who's a bit of a veteran, you can say, dating back to 2005, and he will be entering his 8th playoff game with a 2-5 record. It's not that great. It's really not that great. So this will be his 8th game. He's going to want to try to get back into the swing of things and hopefully get his team, like I said, the Washington football team, to accelerate and get their first playoff win since, I forgot to look for that. But it's been a while for the Washington football team, that's for sure, since they won a postseason game. And then you have the guy on the other side. You can't really say much about him. It pains me as a Broncos fan to call him the GOAT, but he really is probably the greatest of all time. 6 championships, and the only person close to him was Montana, and I can't see him coming out of retirement to try to tie Brady for a Super Bowl ring. But stranger things have happened. You never know. If I had to pick a team coming out of this matchup, even though Washington does have the home field advantage, like I said, it's not the same without the noise in the crowd. I just believe that the experience, that is such a big key when it comes to matchups, whether it's a regular season or in the postseason when it really matters, that really shows where you, like, all your experience basically just shows for itself, then that could lead you to a victory. And I will pick the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you could say, to pull out a win and move on to the divisional round. So those are my picks for Saturdays. Thanks as always for tuning in. If you are new to the channel, feel free to subscribe down below, and I will make picks for tomorrow for Sunday's wildcard matchup. Until next time, guys, take care.